For as long as I can remember, we've been told to celebrate that number on the scale going down. It's like the ultimate win, right? But what if that number is hiding a really dangerous secret? What if the very act of losing weight, especially with all these powerful new drugs and diets out there, could actually be making some of us weaker, more frail? Today, we're going to dig into a hidden danger in the world of weight loss that you really need to know about. So let's just start with this question. Is losing weight always healthy? I mean, it seems like a no-brainer, doesn't it? Of course it is. But the answer is a lot more complicated than you might think. It's really forcing us to look beyond just the number on the scale and ask what healthy weight loss actually means. All right, so first up, let's get into what's known as the weight loss paradox. This is the big idea we really have to wrap our heads around. In our huge global fight against obesity, could we maybe be accidentally causing a totally different and maybe even more insidious problem? Look, there is zero question that obesity is a massive global health crisis. It's a huge risk factor for things like heart disease, diabetes, you name it. So for decades, the goal has been super simple, just lose weight. But that laser focus, that single-minded goal, it completely overlooks a really, really crucial detail about what kind of weight we're actually losing. Okay, so that hidden danger I mentioned, it actually has a medical name. It's called sarcopenic obesity. And basically, it's a condition that smashes two huge health problems together into one very serious threat. So, what is sarcopenic obesity? Well, it isn't just about having too much fat. No, it's the specific condition that doctors call a dual burden. Think of it like this. You get all the health risks that come with obesity, and you combine them with all the risks of something called sarcopenia, which is just the medical term for losing muscle mass and strength. It is literally the worst of both worlds. And this right here really spells out the difference. With what we think of as typical obesity, the whole game is about reducing fat. Simple enough. But with sarcopenic obesity, oh man, you've got this second, equally dangerous problem happening at the same time. You're also losing your critical muscle mass and your strength. And trust me, that changes the entire health equation. And you might be thinking, okay, this sounds bad, but it must be pretty rare, right? Nope, not at all. A huge review found that a staggering 11% of older adults across the globe have this condition. Let that sink in. That's more than 1 in every 10 older people facing this double whammy threat as they get older. And the stakes here, they are incredibly high. We're not just talking about feeling a little weaker. No way. This condition dramatically jacks up the risk of things like life-changing falls, of disability, of losing your independence. It's tied to a whole bunch of other nasty diseases, and yeah, it leads to a significantly higher risk of, well, of dying. So the big question is, how does this even happen, right? How can a body have too much fat and too little muscle at the exact same time? It seems like a contradiction. Well, the answer is deep in our biology. It's all about this destructive conversation happening between our fat cells and our muscle cells. Scientists call it crosstalk. And I love this quote from the research because it absolutely nails it. See, these aren't two separate issues happening side by side. It's one big, interconnected, vicious cycle. Your fat cells and your muscle cells are basically locked in this toxic conversation that just keeps making things worse and worse. Okay, so here's how that nasty cycle actually works. Step 1, all that extra fat tissue starts pumping out these inflammatory signals all over your body. Step 2, that constant inflammation actually damages your muscle, and get this, it blocks your body's ability to build new muscle. They call it anabolic resistance. Step 3, as you start losing that precious muscle, your metabolism slows right down. And finally, step 4, a slower metabolism makes it even easier for your body to store more fat, which, you guessed it, takes you right back to square one. It just feeds on itself. All right, so we get the problem, right? This vicious cycle. But now we have to talk about a powerful new player that has completely changed the game, creating a very, very modern dilemma. And I'm talking about the new generation of blockbuster weight loss drugs. You've heard of them, right? Drugs like Ozempic, Wegovy. They belong to a class called GLP-1 receptor agonists. And let's be clear, they are incredibly effective at helping people lose weight. They are, without a doubt, a revolutionary tool in the fight against obesity. But, and this is a huge but, the key question for us today is, what kind of weight are people actually losing on these drugs? Well, the data from the big clinical trials is pretty eye-opening. Just look at this. These drugs are phenomenal at getting rid of fat mass. I mean, a nearly 34% reduction in one study. That's amazing. But look at the other column. They also cause a really significant loss of lean mass. We're talking about a 10 to almost 14% loss of the exact thing we're trying to protect, our muscle. Now, to really put that into perspective for you, check this out. The amount of muscle someone can lose in just over a year on these drugs can be the same amount of muscle a person naturally loses over an entire decade of just normal aging. Think about that. The weight loss could be rapidly accelerating one of the worst parts of the aging process. Okay, I know that sounds pretty alarming, but the answer isn't to just throw up our hands and avoid weight loss altogether. No, the solution is to get smarter about it, a lot smarter. It means we have to completely reframe our goal, away from just losing weight and toward building a better, stronger body. And what that really means is this: we have to stop obsessing over that one number on the scale. The real goal, the healthy goal, is to improve our body composition. And that means two things: decreasing our fat mass, while, and this is the important part, preserving or even building our muscle mass. It's all about the quality of the weight you lose, not just the quantity. So, how do we actually do that? Well, let's start with nutrition. Forget about extreme crash diets. They are your absolute enemy here, because they just speed up muscle loss. All the research points to a modest, sensible calorie deficit combined with a huge focus on protein. You've got to feed your muscles the building blocks they need to stick around or even grow. For a lot of people, that means shooting for at least 1 to 1.2 grams of protein per kilogram of your body weight every single day. And trust me, that's often way more than people are used to eating. And then there's the other piece of the puzzle, and this part is absolutely non-negotiable: exercise. Now look, aerobic exercise, cardio, that's still super important for your heart and lungs. But when it comes to preserving muscle, resistance training is king. Lifting weights, using resistance bands, even just doing bodyweight exercises, all of that sends a powerful direct signal to your body that says, hey, we need this muscle, keep it, build more. It is the single most effective way to fight back against that muscle wasting process. So really, all of this brings us to a fundamental shift in how we need to think about health. Maybe, just maybe, it's time we stopped asking each other, how much do you weigh? And we started asking a much better question: what are you made of? Because at the end of the day, being strong, being functional, and being resilient, that's a story the scale alone can never, ever tell.